Yo, what up, party people? Hope you all are doing well today, man. Just wanted to say what's good. What's good? It's your boy Stevie Hayes, man, and we are here for the Loreverse live podcast. Obviously, I am here by myself today. Carter is at a Flyers game, and Dallas is, I'm pretty sure he's at work. So I am flying solo tonight, but that's fine because we get the job done regardless, baby. You know what I'm saying? So, whatever. It's all good, but I'm excited to be here. And we have a cool little docket for you to get into today with you guys. So the title of this episode is the future of the DCU good or bad? And before we get into that, please like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell if you have yet to do that. And just to be clear about how things go here in the Loreverse Live podcast, we talk about news, we give our takes, and then you guys are free to comment how you feel, and I will respond to each and every one of your comments. You know what I'm saying? So the question is, right, is the future of the DCU looking good or bad? Now, I think this is a very subjective topic, right? And I think that whether if something is good or bad is really dependent on how the person views what's good or bad. So I'm going to tell you my subjective opinion on what I think, makes the DCU's future good or bad, And I think there's a few metrics that do that. The biggest thing to me is whether if a cinematic universe is good or bad, it all depends. And Hungry Almighty, it is just me today, bro. Carter is at a hockey game. He's watching the Flyers game. He has cool box seats, so that sounds fun. And Dallas is at work. Dallas gets off at 8:30, so he might hop on tonight, but we will see. But it is just me alone woofing today, bro. But so in regards to a cinematic universe, I judge it on a few things on whether if the future is good or bad. I think number one, we have to take a look at the projects that are lined up for the future, not this year, but next year and beyond. And I think future projects decide whether if a universe's future is good or bad. I also think rumors play a big role. And so we're going to start with that. So let's just think about the projects that are being lined up for the DCU right now. So this year, what do we have? We have Supergirl. We have the Lanterns, Green Lantern, and we have Clayface. Okay. Projects this year, let's be honest, they're not that strong. And you guys know, I think Green Lantern is awesome, but these aren't strong projects. Now, when we think about next year, right? We have Superman, Man of Tomorrow. Probably the only slated movie that we know of that's probably going to go crazy. Everything else is up in the air. We have the Batman 2, but I don't really count that as DCU because that's an Elseworlds project. And then we could just have, and then the rest of the DCU projects is all just up in the air, right? Batman, Brave and the Bold, a possible Wonder Woman movie, a lot of things going on, right? And not to mention, who knows what Netflix is just going to want to, bring to the surface with DC, because I'm more than sure they are going to be working closely with James Gunn on the DCU because Netflix, right? If you guys will, Netflix, they have probably done the best job out of Amazon and all these companies when it comes to adapting stuff. If you guys have watched a One Piece adaptation, Avatar: The Last Airbender adaptation, they've been cooking. So I wonder, what they're going to add to, the DCU with James Gunn. And I hope that they add to that. But I will say, though, I am a little scared because Narnia looks kind of suspect. I'm not going to lie. And we're going to talk about that later on, way later on in the episode, because we have a lot of Marvel and DC stuff that we need to talk about. So that's one thing. Okay, so the future is kind of suspect because we just don't know a lot of what's going on. You know what I mean? And I think the future would rely on a few characters. Like obviously the number one thing is what you're going to do with Batman. We know that there's a Batman, Brave and Bold, but we just don't know what's happening there. And we're going to talk about that in regards to James Gunn and Christina Hodson and all that stuff. When it comes to, yes, there is a Narnia reboot, by the way. And Greta Gerwig just got done. They just got done wrapping filming, and they're saying, I'll get to that after this. But trust. Also, think about this, right? What are they going to do with Batman? What are they going to do with the Flash? What are they going to do with characters like Aquaman, Martian Manhunter? We can go down the whole road, the Bat Family, the Teen Titans, etc., etc. All of these things have to do, like the future has to do with all that. And in my opinion, there's a lot of question marks. And I don't think question marks are a bad thing because I'm an MCU fan, so I've lived my life at being an MCU fan on question marks. But the question is, what is the DCU doing to the question marks? The what? Now here's the thing. Let's talk about what the DCU is doing to the question mark. James Gunn just debunks everything that's not true, and the things that are true, he just doesn't comment on it. You know what I mean? And so I do think that gives a bit of a negative effect to the you know DCU, mostly because most of those rumors rely around the DCU Batman. And I think the DCU Batman is the most important thing. I would argue the DCU Batman is more important than Superman right now. It's the most important thing. So I would say like the biggest thing they have right now is Batman. Everything else is kind of a wash, in my opinion. Now, the second thing, let's get to rumors because I think the universe is as big as its rumors. The only thing that kept the MCU alive during the whole entire slosh fest of crap that they were putting out was the rumors for the Avengers films. Let's just be honest, and we are let's talk about the rumors that the DCU has right now. Couple rumors that are just going through my mind. Think about Superman, Man of Tomorrow, or there's a possible rumor that Wonder Woman, Batman, all the characters could pop up. Look, James Gunn debunked it, but he lied even about Brainiac being the main villain. So we don't know what they're going to do with that. That's one rumor, right? Another rumor, Brandon Sklenar is possibly Batman. There's a lot of people that want him to be Batman. There's a lot of people that don't want him to be Batman. I think fans don't care at this point. They just want a Batman, right? There are other rumors that that they're possibly working on another project like The Flash, right? That they're working on another project like Martian Manhunter, or they're trying to find ways to bring those characters into this possible Superman movie. When it comes to rumors, that's about it. And the other rumors are what? Paradise Lost. Don't really care about that. You know what I mean? To be honest, I don't. What other rumors do they have? And this is the sad part, is that I think that the rumors are hitting a wall because the only rumors that fans want to know about is Batman. And I love Batman, and I'm pretty sure all of you guys would agree that Batman is a top 3 character of all time. But if that's where your line ends, you might be in trouble. And it's been 3 years, and all we've gotten that was to the degree of scale that it needs to be. It's a Superman movie, and that's it. So I would say I think that the DCU is in a weird place. Is the future of the DCU good or bad? My honest opinion, Man of Tomorrow is going to tell me that. Man of Tomorrow is going to give me that answer. And that's kind of how I feel. You know what I mean? In my opinion, I think we have to give the DCU a year and wait, because Superman is shaping to be the big thing, right? The really big event movie. And I think that's going to point us into the direction of where we're supposed to go with the DCU. And I think Superman 1 pointed us somewhere. I just don't think it pointed us somewhere well, in my opinion. So we'll just have to see what happens. I don't think Supergirl is going to make a lot of movement. I don't think Clayface is going to make a lot of movement. Don't know why they're doing a Clayface movie, but so the DCU is in a weird place. It's like a blank slate. I mean, because look at all the other projects that have come out. Creature Commandos, right? Superman. Follow Superman. Am I missing something? Oh, Peacemaker season 2, which I really wasn't the biggest fan of. But what was the big rumor after Peacemaker 2? People think he's going to end up with Darkseid somehow because it's tied to the whole Salvation Run stuff. So who knows? You know what I mean? And apparently, if Man of Tomorrow is going off of the adaptation that we think, then it would involve almost every DC character. You know what I mean? So who knows? We'll just have to find out and see. You know what I mean? So yeah, the DC was in a really blank place, and that's kind of where I'm at. All right, let's read some chats. It's just you today, yes sir. Is Netflix still buying HBO? They're buying Warner Bros, and I'm pretty sure HBO is included in that. Yeah, I'm keen for some French characters from the comics. Oh yeah. DCU future relies on Bats. Until Bats comes to the DCU, it's hard to get excited for it. And this is coming from a huge DC fan, so I'm feeling that way. Then how do you think more casual viewers feel? I agree. I think a lot of this hinges on Batman, bro. I mean, Is there a Narnia reboot? Yes, there is. It just wrapped filming today. They've been very quiet, and I actually, if you go to my Loreverse channel, I actually put out a whole entire video breaking down all the rumors and everything about it. It's insane, and we're going to talk about it today as well, because these rumors are actually an abomination to humanity. DC Studios will have a good year, even if even Supergirl and Clayface doesn't do well at box office. Lanterns will be a success for HBO Max. What's happening with Lanterns, though? We got a 13-second teaser. We really haven't heard anything since. I'm really worried about that show and kind of what's happening, and also with the serious tone. I just wonder where Jon Stewart is going to be left at, and they're also adapting a story that has not been in the comics, which makes me excited. But it feels like we're not going to see any space stuff, and to me that's an L if that's true. Netflix is going to acquire the WB. Yeah, they were just in court today, and I'm going to show you guys a clip from that. Interesting. Is it a feature film or are they turning it into a series? So with Netflix, with Narnia, they are doing I'm pretty sure they are doing a trilogy, and then they're going to do spin-off shows. And Netflix clearly said that their goal is to make a Chronicles of Narnia cinematic universe. Yeah, everything relies on Batman 100%. Are we talking about Doomsday, or did I miss it, y'all? You did not miss anything. The next 4 topics here are DCU, and then let's just say the first topic of the MCU is crazy, because we're going to talk about Black Panther possibly being a freaking space movie. Yes, they might go to space, and that gets me really excited. But we'll talk about that soon. I reckon Superman cameo high chances, but I don't know about any brand new A-list Justice League character. Yeah, and I think that's an issue. I think that Superman 2, I really do believe that Superman Man of Tomorrow is going to be the best DC movie of all time. And the reason, and I say that because I really think it hinges on the fact that we are going to see A-list DC characters. I really do. I can see Man of Tomorrow being a soft launch for the JL. Give me Plastic Man. That would be cool. With a solid that would be awesome. But we need A-listers first. In my opinion, if we at least got a Nightwing HBO Max, then I would be okay. I would be okay with waiting for Batman, because I'm more excited for Robin and Nightwing. And Hungry Mind, you already know, man. Robin, Dick Grayson is my favorite superhero of all time. You know this already, so I would be so with that, bro. I think you should be fleshing out the Bat family now. Even if you don't have a Batman cast, it's way easier to cast a Robin and Nightwing. But what are we getting? A dynamic duo animated project, right? And it's not even connected to the DCU. It's crazy. It's crazy. And it's about 2 Robins. And it's actually ironic because there's a Batman run right now. And I think in the art's done by George Jimenez, but it's a super cool run. But basically, Batman has 2 Robins. So Tim Drake is kind of his main Robin, and then Damian is just kind of the Robin around. And the run is so funny because Damian exposes his identity to someone that works for him. It's so funny, bro. Damian is such a menace. Is Robin and Nightwing confirmed? They are confirmed to be in the DCU, yes. And the Robin that is going to be in the DCU Batman movie is Damian Wayne. Not my favorite Robin, but he is a really good Robin. Man of Tomorrow Man of Tomorrow will make money at the domestic box office. The international audience isn't going to embrace this film. And Kevin, you are right, because the international audience did not embrace Superman, and that's why it stopped at 600 million. I think it did, and that is an underperforming number for a character like Superman. That was all right. Peacemaker, 6 out of 10. Yeah, man. Peacemaker was a really was not a big fan of that show. A lot of just empty dead space, and I don't like shows with empty dead space. What's the point of doing a show if you're gonna do empty dead space? Just do a 2-hour special and call it a day. I do believe Ryan Coogler will win an Oscar, just not the major. Are we talking about for Sinners? I think he's going to get a lot of awards, bro. He's going to get a lot of awards during this run. Okay, so yeah, that's all about the future. I think the future of the DCU is just in the air. You know what I mean? We don't know what we're getting yet, and that's fine for the next 2 weeks. It's fine for right now, I guess. Fans aren't really erupting about it. I'm pissed, but a lot of fans just aren't erupting about it, so I'm not going to. Well, yeah, a lot of fans aren't going crazy. So let's get into the first topic of the night. Is James Gunn directing Batman Brave and the Bold? Now, as of February of this month, James Gunn is not officially directing Batman, and Andy Muschietti, he remained the official director attached to this project. However, there is significant current speculation and a few key updates regarding the film's creative leadership. So let's talk about the current status of Batman: Brave and the Bold. So as of right now, the official director is Andy. He was hired in June of 2023, while rumors of his departure have circulated, partly due to the underperformance of the Flash, major trade publications, and obviously, he is doing a lot of stuff with the whole It universe. Like Welcome to Derry was a great show, and he is apparently still involved as the studio is taking a measured approach to Batman. Now, the writer is also confirmed, apparently. Screenwriter Christina Hodson, who wrote Bumblebee and Bird Spray and the canceled Batgirl movie, she was announced, or really rumored, in late January 2026 to be the writer of the Batman Brave and Bold movie. Now, James Gunn is heavily involved as the producer and the co-CEO of DC Studios. He recently clarified that he's working closely with Hodson on the script to ensure that the character of Batman is done right. Now, let's talk about some rumors. Okay, now, recent rumors and reports said that, and this is by Jeff Snyder. He hinted that James Gunn might eventually step behind the camera himself for the project, though this remains an unconfirmed rumor. James Gunn has stated that the movie will not proceed until there is a production-ready script, and he is totally happy with. He also said that, he also has called Batman his biggest issue creatively because he wants this version, which features Batman's son, Damian Wayne, to feel distinct from Matt Reeves' ongoing The Batman series. And just to break down the timeline, Gunn recently noted that he would not release 2 Batman films in the same year. And with the Batman Part 2 slated for 2027, The Brave and the Bold is unlikely to arrive before 2028 or 2029. And in regards to the actor, Robert Pattinson will not be the Batman in this film, and casting for the new DCU has not yet begun, as it depends on the final script. So that's everything in regards to the Batman. Now, or to Batman Brave and the Bold. Now, would I want James Gunn to direct Batman Brave and the Bold? Honest answer is no. I would not want James Gunn to direct Batman Brave and the Bold. It's not because I don't think he's capable. I just think he's the president of a studio. And I think James Gunn's focus needs to be on directing the universe where it needs to go. And like when I rewatch Superman, when I rewatch some of these DCU projects, the biggest question is, okay, where does this universe go from here? And that's been like the hardest thing to figure out. You know what I mean? Because there's just so many things going on in so many different areas. And when you bring on, and to me, it's like bringing on Supergirl, Lanterns, and Clayface is possibly either going to make it find direction or make it more confusing. I just don't know which road he's going to go. So I would not want James Gunn to direct Batman Brave and the Bold, and I want him to take more of a Kevin Feige position where he's in charge of the direction. I think there's a lot of capable directors out there that can do the Batman. And if James Gunn does do the Batman, he either wants to do it, number one, or there's no one else willing to take it. Because I could see a situation where some people don't want to do a DCU Batman. And that's might just be the way it is. And if that's the case, then James Gunn will do it. And I hope that he, can really, like, I know that if James Gunn is doing it, he's going to go for it. You know what I mean? So at the very least, we'll at least get that. And I don't think he could make, and I don't think he will make a bad Batman movie. It's just that when I think of a Batman movie director, he's not even on the top 10 list of directors that I will call. Like the way that his the kind of projects that he does. I even feel like Superman for him was a bit of a stretch in regards to the movies that he does. And it's not even aside. This is aside from him choosing small characters, because a lot of people love to pull small character crap. I think it's just the way that his comedy is, the way he views things is very like adult and mature. Even in Guardians of the Galaxy, it's a version of humor that just is James Gunn. You know what I mean? If that's the best way to make sense. And with Batman, you can't really have that type of James Gunn humor. So I wonder what they're going to do there. And it will be interesting to see how James Gunn would adapt these things. I'll be very fearful. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, I wouldn't want him to direct Batman. I like Andy. The stuff that I saw with Andy using Batman in the Flash movie was all I needed to see. You know what I mean? Batfleck's suit was trash in the Flash, but the movement and the bikes and everything, that whole bike scene was fire. I mean, you can't tell me anything less. Everything we saw with Michael Keaton's Batman was also freaking awesome. So I think Andy can land a lot in this. The question is the writing. I think the writing is what matters. When you have a character like Batman, you have to have stellar writing. And I'm not sure if Christina Hodson can deliver the kind of gravitas to Batman that I am looking for. Like, and I said this in the last episode. Why would you bring in a writer that wrote for a Batgirl movie that didn't even make it to HBO Max at the very least? A Birds of Prey movie that failed, a Flash movie that flopped, and even though I like the Flash movie, the writing isn't what points out to me. You know what I mean? So the writing wasn't stellar in the Flash. And when you have a character like Batman, this is your prize. This is your gold. Like when the MCU did Doomsday, they brought in the Russos. They didn't hire Taika Waititi. You know what I'm saying? Like that's my logic. You know what I mean? So I question that terrible decision. Let me read some chats here. Okay. Get Ryan for the DC. Get Ryan for the. Are you talking about Ryan Reynolds? I wonder if Gunn is retaining creative control or just control in general for DC. I think both. I think both, bro. I think Gunn should be a supervisor of the movie and work very closely with the writers and directors, but not fully directing. Yes, and that's what Kevin Feige is doing with Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. They said Feige has been in freaking London for like freaking almost 2 years now working on this freaking movie. You know what I mean? Because it's that important, and I think that's what James Gunn needs. Like, we need James Gunn to supervise, not direct. And I think, like, do you guys really think the DCU as a universe is going to make movements while James Gunn is writing and doing treatments for Man of Tomorrow? That's a whole entire script, y'all. That's a whole entire script. Costume design, like, making a movie is a lot of work. And if you really think that James Gunn can do all that and run a universe, that's a lot of work on a creative, end. Someone else should have taken Superman too. Just being honest. Big Chungus you are, Stevie. I don't know what that is. But what's about? Take that do-rag off, bro. It's showing gold too. Gold do-rag to rep the Loreverse colors. LV, LV, LV. Okay, let's get to the next topic here. So let's talk about James Gunn defending Christina Hodson. So in January 2026, DC Studios co-CEO James Gunn stepped into the public to defend a screenwriter Christina Hodson following intense fan backlash over her attachment to Batman Brave and the Bold. So responding to a fan on Instagram threads who mentioned the unjust hatred Hodson was receiving, James Gunn instead he issued a firm rebuttal to her critics, like me, because I'm a critic. In his defense, Gunn stated that those criticizing Hodson's screenwriting likely hadn't read her actual screenplays and highlighted her early involvement in the DCU planning stages. And so he said that she was an early DCU architect. Gunn emphasized Hodson was a part of the original writers' room that developed the plan for Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. He noted that a director can take massive liberties with the scripts, suggesting fans shouldn't solely judge Hodson based on the final versions of the films like The Flash or Birds of Prey. And Gunn also expressed in her confidence in her work, calling the current script for the Batman film really good, despite it being a work in progress. And the reason why fans are really criticizing her is because of her involvement in the previous DCEU stuff, like The Flash and Birds of Prey and writing for Batgirl, and all those projects underperformed in the box office. Now, let's break down each of these things because I want to tell you guys why my critique is so valid. So, number one, okay, James Gunn emphasized Hodson was part of the original writers' room that developed the plan for Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. How many projects, like, could we all confidently say right now that Gods and Monsters is in full effect? I don't think so. Superman 1 doesn't show me anything about gods and monsters. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't. Superman is an introspective Superman movie on Superman. It doesn't push the agenda that we are getting a higher calling villain. Superman didn't warn us about a Brainiac. Superman didn't point to anything. You know what I mean? So I don't really, I don't see the fruit of the Gods and Monsters planning yet. And that's fine, but don't act like, it's just sitting there in plain sight without our rumors and theories. You know what I'm saying? Our rumors and theories are what's holding down the Gods and Monsters theme, not necessarily what your work has showed us and done. You know, and some smart guys going to say, "Oh well, Superman is the godlike figure, and the Superman did fight against a kaiju." Okay, you got it. Okay, now also he stated that that Hodson's screenwriting likely hadn't. Okay, James Gunn also said that like we can't blame her for the Flash because and what you call it and the Birds of Prey because directors take their liberties. So I guess he's saying that it's Andy's fault for the Flash. I don't blame Andy, and I don't blame her. Look, this is all I'm saying. The writing, if we watch the Flash, the writing is not even good. Like the writing's not all that, but the movie is fire because I think Andy is a great director, and Andy held it down. So that's my rebuttal to that. Is like in a movie like The Flash, because I don't really blame her for The Flash entirely. You know what I'm saying? But like the writing wasn't good. I mean, we all know the main reason why the Flash flopped is because everyone hates Ezra. That's nothing to do with Christina Hodson and Andy. And then the other part is that they had unfinished VFX in the final cut of the movie. Those are the biggest two reasons why the Flash failed. I don't blame Andy. I mean, maybe there was nothing Andy could do. You know what I mean? I don't know the behind the scenes of why there was unfinished VFX and why Christopher Reeves and all them, they all looked like freaking Incredibles animation. I don't know why, but I don't blame them for that entirely. But when you look at the writing from Kristen Hodson, it's not good. You know what I mean? And then Birds of Prey, I mean, let's not even talk about that. That movie's terrible. He also expressed confidence in her work. Okay, so here's the thing about this, right? Could she write a good script under James Gunn's leadership? I think she could write a good script. I just don't think she needs to be writing a script for Batman. That's my whole argument. Is like this is your biggest character, homie. Like why do you? What is the point of taking a risk? Excuse me. Like what is the point to me? What is the point of taking this risk with your biggest character using Christina Hodson? That's my whole argument. Bring back some dudes that got some sauce at least from the old regime, Maybe she's on a contract. I'm not sure. Let's read some chats. You're not like that, bro. Take it off. Chill. I'm wavy. The CGI ruined it for me. The Flash. The Nick Cage cameo looked like a video game cutscene I would never forget. Yeah, and that's the unfinished VFX was terrible, bro. It was an abomination to humanity, bro. It was really bad. That was really bad, bro. That was some really bad stuff. But like the movie itself, like if you remove the VFX issues, the hate for Ezra, and the subpar writing, the movie's not that bad. It's not. The movie's not that bad. And I've rewatched it multiple times. Like I don't think it's bad. Now, next topic here. Let's get the James Gunn talking about the Flash. Run, Barry, run. We are the Flash. Okay. So, in late January 2026, James Gunn used his Threads account to clarify. By the way, using Threads to clarify something is crazy, bro. Like the CEO of the DCU is talking on Threads. Crazy. 2026, baby. Anyways, to clarify the status of Grant Gustin's in the new DCU, and let's talk about what he said. So, basically, someone posted a picture of Barry Allen and said to James Gunn, "This got to happen," and James Gunn replied in a very blunt fashion, "It happened on TV for 9 seasons." Now, here's the thing, right? A lot of people were going on the internet to cry about James Gunn's being disrespectful to Grant Gustin. No, he's not, bro. Y'all just soft, bro. He's not being disrespectful. He's being honest. He's being real. You know what I'm saying? And this all started because Grant Gustin dyed his hair blonde. I'm not lying. This all started because he dyed his hair freaking blonde. Okay. And because he dyed his hair blonde, apparently everybody and their mother thought that this meant that Grant was coming back as the Flash. Okay. But Grant also announced that he dyed his hair blonde for a different role. Now, James Gunn also later clarified that he would always welcome the opportunity. Grant Gustin said he will always welcome the opportunity to play the Flash again. And James Gunn said he loves what he does in the Flash. Like, there's definitely no hard feelings and beef towards that situation. But here is the reality, and this is what a lot of y'all don't understand. There is no universe where Grant Gustin comes back as Barry Allen. No universe. No universe. It would never happen. Unless it was a Crisis on Infinite Earth situation where the multiverse is being used, there's no way Grant comes back. He's definitely going to cast a new Flash. And if we're being honest, Grant Gustin is a good TV Flash. He is never going to be a movie Flash. Too emotional. Too crybaby. That she was working with that? That she was working with that? Like, he's just a crybaby. And look, it's CW, bro. It's emotion. Look at Smallville. Look at Arrow, bro. All emotional shows, but like, we can't have that in the movie, bro. You know what I mean? And also, I think the Flash is going to be Wally West, which I think is a good move. Make Wally West a Flash. He's the most powerful Flash. Why not? But now that I say that, right, fans are going to say that's what Kyle Rayner should be the Flash. Okay. I'm not here to cape for Kyle Rayner. Or sorry, I'm not here to say that Kyle Rayner should be the Green Lantern, the main GL, because he's the strongest. Okay, I'm not saying that. But yeah. I wish it was Hal Jordan. You know what I'm saying? But I wish we had both. Shoot, I'll take all three: Kyle Rayner, Hal Jordan, and freaking John Stewart at the same time. Pause. Okay, but yeah, man, we shouldn't be shocked at this. You guys should know by now that Grant is not coming back. I would bring Henry Cavill back as Superman before I would bring Grant back as the Flash. I would bring Ben Affleck, dude. I'll bring Michael Keaton back as Batman before I would bring Grant back as the Flash. In true honesty, Grant, say swear. Why are people so obsessed with Grant Gus? I agree. Childhood, bro. Show became but first 2 seasons are goated for me. Yeah, bro. I would say the first 4 seasons are fire. The whole Zoom arc was goated. I feel like there are too many fans that are obsessed with certain actors and can't fathom other actors playing the characters. RDJ Tony, Cavill Soups, Grant Gustin Flash, Hugh Wolverine, Hemsworth Thor, etc. I agree. There is definitely a big attachment. But I think in the MCU you could really finesse those castings. You just got to throw them in the background for a little bit and then bring them out. I could see Kyle Rayner being the Supergirl of Green Lantern, Hal, Mentor, John Main, Kyle. Yeah, bro. They should have all 3, but that'll be fired. Yeah, if Robert isn't playing Batman, then Grant. Yeah, right. And honestly, and somebody search this up and tell me if I'm wrong. Didn't Robert Pattinson say he was open to playing Batman in the DCU at first? Or am I wrong? I'm pretty sure he said that. And it seems like Matt Reeves said, no, bro, we're shutting that down real quick. And I understand why Robert Pattinson would do it. It's an easy bag, bro. Like, you know how much money Robert Pattinson would make if he made a DCU Batman movie? That movie would, number one, do $1 billion, and it would make him like the RDJ of freaking DC, of the DCU, which means Robert Pattinson will be making $70 to $80 million per freaking movie, bro. He'll be on an RDJ level type of situation, bro. He really would be, bro. Oh my gosh. And so I understand why Robert wanted to do, but while we're on the top of Robert, we might as well get there too, because Robert Pattinson, or because James Gunn was also asked about Robert Pattinson and talking about, he will not be the DCU Batman. He said it again for the 5th time. So let's another thread situation. So the most recent viral exchange occurred when a fan asked Gunn if there was any chance, even as a multiverse variant, or through some retroactive merging, that Pattinson's Batman could appear alongside David Cornsweat's Superman, and James Gunn's blunt response was no. Period. And he elaborated, and he later elaborated that those hoping for a crossover were pushing it, and that the 2 universes are staying completely separate to respect the artistic vision of Matt Reeves. And the reason why he keeps reiterating this is because despite Gunn and Reeves stating this since the DCU's inception, rumors spiked again in early 2026 due to the Batman Part 2 having a delay, the Clayface set photos, and the Brave and the Bold, just a lot going on. Now let's talk about this. If you guys have been following this show since the old show Super Cuts, you guys know darn well that I freaking wanted Robert Pattinson to be Batman, and I was the biggest caper for that for a long time. And the reality is, he's not going to be the DC Batman. Would I want him to? 100%. I think he would have been perfect. He would have had to make some slight changes to his character to make him mature a little more, but he's the perfect age, and I think Robert Pattinson would have been great. You make him bulk up more, you make him look more like Batman. It works. But that's not the case, and it is what it is. Robert Pattinson Batman isn't a brainiac situation where he's lying and then he's going to cast it. It's not that. It's just, I mean, the same way that when James Gunn first. So a lot of you guys might not remember when James Gunn first got announced as a CEO, co-CEO of DC Studios. Jason Momoa said he was never going to stop being Aquaman, and what happened? The dude's Lobo. Terrible looking, by the way, but he's Lobo. You know what I mean? And I think if Pattinson now will go to the DCU, they would do that. Now if I was James Gunn, I would say, yeah, Matt Reeves, we got to cancel this, bro, and you got to make this a DC movie. That's what I would do, honestly. But Matt Reeves has pulled his Batman movie made $700 million off right out of COVID. There was a whole Halloween movement where everybody was going to the gym and playing Batman music, dimming their cameras dark for Halloween. Everybody dressed up in his biker undercover outfit. There's a movement with the Batman. So, I mean, it is what it is. He always wanted to play. Yes, he did always want to play Lobo, but like there's a point where he was like, yeah, like I'm always going to be Aquaman. It doesn't matter what burst it is. Like he said that before, and that was hilarious. Momoa excuse probably I would never stop being Aquaman metaphor. Yeah, well, it was an interview where he was like, he said like I don't care, I'm always going to play Aquaman until he lost the role. Obviously, we all knew it. You know what I'm saying? Which he probably wasn't surprised either. But then he begged James Gunn to, be Lobo, and now he's Lobo. So hey, man, I think he's gonna do a great job as Lobo. I hope they bring back the little goatee thing or the little front beard. What I don't know what you call it, the mustache. Hope that they bring it back. Okay, now let's get into some MCU content. You guys know I love MCU content. So Black Panther 3, will it be a space movie? Now, rumors about Black Panther 3 becoming a space movie stems from reports that it may explore the intergalactic empire of Wakanda arc from the comics. Now let's talk about the current status of this. So the Cosmic Saga lead, several industry insiders report that the third film will feature aliens and serve as the starting point for the cosmic arc of the MCU's post-Secret War saga. We are going to be getting a intergalactic Wakanda. So fans and rumors suggest that the film could adapt the popular Ta-Nehisi Coates comic run, where Wakandans explore space and establish an empire on other planets. Filming is reportedly scheduled to begin on June 15th of this year in London, working under the rumored title Shadows of Wakanda. Ryan Coogler is obviously coming back. Denzel has officially joined the cast. There's not a specific role that we know yet for him. We don't know what the release date is. It's probably going to be in 2028. That'll be my guess. Probably going to be the first movie post Avengers Secret Wars. And so far, the people that are returning, we know Shuri, Okoye, and M'Baku will be returning. Okay, so let me just say this. If Black Panther if they do Intergalactic Wakanda, that will be the greatest MCU movie of all time. I'm talking about from the we're talking about the solo movies. Will probably be the greatest solo movie of all time. And here's the funny thing: there's actually a comic book run out right now called Black Panther Intergalactic, which I'm currently reading. I think there's 2 issues out, and basically the whole entire premise of the Black Panther kingdom going intergalactic is what you think. They basically went to other planets and they rule over a bunch of planets. Now, the thing, though, that Ryan Coogler is going to have to address is that when it comes to this ruling of Wakanda, the Black Panther goddess Bast has a really big role in regards to the ruling of Wakanda in a intergalactic space. So they're going to have to find a way to work in Bast. And the fact that they're doing a Black Panther recast, I hope that Ryan Coogler can give us more of a comic accurate T'Challa, because so if you guys watch Moon Knight, right, with the whole entire Avatar thing. So don't you guys know how Moon Knight, right, Moon Knight is a avatar of Khonshu, right? And Khonshu is a Egyptian moon god. That's the same thing with Bast and T'Challa. So technically, T'Challa is a avatar, or sorry, Bast is the or yeah, T'Challa is the avatar of Bast. Okay, the Black Panther goddess. And so what I hope that they do, and what is super cool is that like Bast can have conversations with T'Challa whenever she wants. So basically, like, so do you guys know how like the only time you can really go to the plane where we saw all of the past kings. The only time you can go there in the MCU is when you take the heart-shaped herb and they take you under. What's cool in the comics is that Bask can kind of like access you at any point. So I hope that we get that kind of situation, because I don't want to see T'Challa talking to his ancestors anymore. I want him to commune with the actual Black Panther goddess herself. I think it'll make the Wakandan world mean a lot more when you actually bring the god over the Black Panther into this. And it will also set a precedent for the multiple rulers of Wakanda, because Black Panther is technically like the main emperor, you know what I'm saying? But Bast is still the person that he answers to. And so what's happening in this Black Panther intergalactic story is that a clone of T'Challa is in the Wakandan intergalactic empire. And what happens is when he's flying off planet, Bast just pulls him in to talk to him. And the reason why she thinks it's T'Challa at first is because this clone has the same DNA as the T'Challa that we know. But what's cool about it, right, is that she said, like, you're not T'Challa. You're not him. But I'm going to let you keep going because I know because your role is because you have a key role into Wakanda being powerful and surviving in the future. So Bast lets this imposter clone T'Challa do what he wants. And that's just one cool reason why you need Bast. And I just personally think like because like Chadwick Boseman's portrayal was such of a nobleman, you know what I mean? He was more of a king, and they gave the science side of T'Challa to Shuri. I think you need to give T'Challa the genius side. You know what I mean? I think he needs to be more of a genius in a dark cloud more than a functioning, beautiful king. Like, he's not Mufasa. You know what I'm saying? T'Challa has a lot of scars that kind of form him into who he is. And T'Challa in the comics is a really dark character. You know what I mean? And he's a very useful character. He can go anywhere and be one of the most useful people anywhere. So that's what I'm really excited for. I hope like for them to dive into Bast, and them going to space makes this whole entire era crazy. And what I would like is if the whole entire MCU just goes cosmic, so where all of these movies happen on different, planets. Even with the X-Men, they deal with other people on other planets too. Did you guys watch X-Men 97 when Professor X faked his death and spent a whole entire time on a planet with his main chick, where he was able to walk again? He became like an alien kind of lord to an extent. So I hope that like with the MCU in general, I think doing this cosmic thing, like, and it will be dope if like Wakanda is so scarred, from what happened with Avengers Doomsday Spiderman, that they end up going off world to conquer other planets. The question is, how do the Avengers agree with that? There's really nothing that they can do. They're not taking down Wakanda, right? How do the mutants feel about that? That I think there's a lot of questions there. And how frequently is T'Challa coming back to Earth? We also got to factor in the Storm relationship. Like, is he going to be with Storm? Is Storm going to join him on this conquest? I would doubt it. She's probably going to be an X-Men. They might wait a while to bring in the relationship of Storm and T'Challa, but that does matter. But what they're sitting on right now with Black Panther possibly going intergalactic is a landmine of gold. You know what I mean? Like, this is some of the best that the MCU can go. I mean, do you guys understand how crazy an intergalactic Black Panther movie would be? Like, I don't think you guys understand. That's one of the craziest things I've ever heard. You know what I mean? And seeing that in movie form will make me go insane. I might cry, like interstellar vibes, like for real. So yeah, that in them going galactic is one of the most creative and perfect ways to bring in a new T'Challa. Because I think, and it would have still worked, but I think it would have been super corny to bring T'Challa into the world that Wakanda is right now, because it will be such a plug and play. But if you make the stakes higher, to where he's not just ruling Wakanda, they're now a intergalactic functioning force. It makes everything 10 times better because now he's going to have to deal with the Kree, and the Skrulls and all of those type of situations. He might run into the Guardians. It seems T'Challa interact with alien power, bro. That is crazy. That is crazy. Unless we have T'Challa, then I don't give a F about a space Black Panther movie. Okay, so in regards to Black Panther, Christian Harloff said that Damson Idris is already cast. So, and I low-key believe it. And Marvel Studios and Hunger Mighty, Marvel Studios isn't stupid. Like I'm telling you, there's no way we don't walk out of these movies without a new T'Challa. There's no way that happens. There's no if they do, they might be the most delusional company. They might be that'll be a more delusional move than Star Wars has ever done. Did you like the animated show? I would give it a 7 out of 10. Are you talking about X-Men 97? X-Men 97, I would give it a 10 out of 10. I got a fire idea on what the MCU can do with T'Challa and Moon Knight. Mark Spector post Wars. Hey, lay it on me. Let me hear it. Do you think after the Secret Wars reset, they will keep the cinematic universe zoomed out for cosmic threats and start again from the ground up, doing the X-Men from scratch? I don't know. I think heroes are going to go back and forth. Talking about the Wakanda. Are you talking about the eyes of Wakanda? I'm giving that a probably 4 out of 10. It was all right. It was not crazy. Do you think after Secret Wars they will keep the cinematic universe zoomed out for cosmic threats? I don't know. I honestly don't know, bro. I don't know what they're going to do. But or you're asking what I think. I mean, I think you got to use elements of both, bro. Because I think with the mutants, it's like, I think Feige is going to dive a lot into this brotherhood stuff with Magneto and stuff like that. But like, it's also going to peak at a certain point. And whenever you peak in something, you either go two ways, right? You either go, you either go to the fantasy realm or you go to space. You know what I mean? And I think the X-Men are going to space, bro. I do. I think the X-Men are going to space. That'll be my. And you can do an axe situation where you do like a Avengers, X-Men, Eternals. There's a lot of ways would it be fire if you brought back the Eternals to go against the X-Men, because the X-Men and the Eternals are connected. They are, which would be very interesting. So, I think they will go Galactic Empire vibes and probably deal with Professor X or something like that. Okay. Now, let's dive into do some Avengers Doomsday stuff. I know a lot of y'all have been waiting for Avengers Doomsday. So we're going to explain the central theme of Avengers Doomsday. I want to pull up the exact tweet of what is said, and then I'm going to break down that, and then we're going to go even deeper and break down Avengers Doomsday even more, because there's a lot going on with that. Okay, let me pull this up. Okay, so let's read this central theme of Avengers Doomsday. Here we go. What would you be willing to sacrifice to gain what you want, to succeed, to save the ones you love, your morals, your beliefs, your powers, your mortality, your life? The question isn't, are you prepared to die? The question is, who will you be when you close your eyes? Now, let's break down this, and then we're going to go deeper into this. So to break this down from a generalized standpoint, what would you be willing to sacrifice to gain what you want? I think this is pointing to Dr. Doom sacrificing everything in order for him to rule the multiverse. Whatever Dr. Doom had, whether that was his own family with Sue and Franklin, whether if it was him having his mother back, him having his love, whatever that is, he sacrificed everything to get where he is. And the way that I feel right now is like a lot of people think that he is coming from a dying Earth, and that might be the lie that Dr. Doom tells, but I think Dr. Doom sacrificed it all. That man might have just destroyed his planet just for the heck of it, bro. So no one can stop him. You know what I mean? Okay, to succeed, to save the ones you love, your morals, your beliefs, your powers, your mental. So I think this whole thing could, number one, be talking about the X-Men, because we all know that the X-Men are rumored to be destroying Earths. And if you guys don't know, the mutants, they've been persecuted for so long. They have this like weird situation to where like and you see this in Cyclops a lot, where Cyclops gets very tribal about the mutants, and he will turn on anybody in order for the mutants to be safe because he's a savage. And Cyclops is a protector. That's what he does. But also to succeed, to save the ones you love, could this could also point to Steve Rogers and his family. This could point to Thor and his family. I mean, this could point to everyone having something loose, even Scott Lang. You know what I mean? So here this. The question isn't are you prepared to die? The question is who will you be when you close your eyes? Okay, now because if you're a hero, 9 times out of 10 you are prepared to die. But this part, who will you be when you close your eyes? Who will you be when you close your eyes? That could point to variance of you could be multiple or other people, but this also could point to the fact of what side are you going to choose, because we know that someone like Doctor Strange is most likely going to be on the side of Doctor Doom in this movie. He's with Clea. You know, there's a theory going around that Clea is working with Doctor Doom, and could this mean could it be a situation like that? So, very very interesting. Now let's go deeper into some of the themes here. I think the first theme of Avengers Doomsday is sacrifice versus mortality. So the film, I think, will explore this question. What would you be willing? Oh, well, yeah, we're going to break down anymore, right? What would you be willing to sacrifice, right, to gain what you want? Your morals, your morals, your beliefs, your life. So unlike the previous, Avengers films that they focused. My bad. Unlike the previous Avengers films where they focus more on a heroic sacrifice, Doomsday is going to lean into like more of the gray areas, questioning who a hero becomes when they cross ethical lines to save the ones they love, i.e., the X-Men destroying Earth to save their kind and their people. Now, the second is survival versus freedom. So the core conflict, it seems like, is going to be Doctor Doom Doctor Doom's mindset is going to be like survival at any cost. Whatever it costs, I'm always going to choose survival. And the Avengers represent, right, the fight for free will, even if it risks annihilation. And look, Doctor Doom represents a fight for survival and certainty, arguing that the world is too fragile for freedom and must be controlled to be saved. And so we're going to see Doom and the Avengers go against each other because of this. Fourth theme, the legacy of choices. So look, the movie will heavily feature Steve Rogers, and I think Steve Rogers is going to be the emotional core, and it's going to focus on Steve Rogers' past choices. And the rumors suggest that Steve's decision to stay in the past with Peggy Carter may have triggered the multiversal incursions, and this themes the film around how even quote unquote good choices can cause a catastrophic event, right? And the fourth theme is beginnings in the face of endings. So while Avengers Endgame was about literal endings, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige and the Russo bros have stated that Doomsday and Secret Wars are all about beginnings, and the film themes the collapse of the old world as necessary. If painful, and look, it's going to be painful, but it's going to build something new, positioning Doctor Doom as the one who has already accepted the end and planned for tomorrow, and that's where Battle World comes into play. So I think the themes to Doomsday. It's some really deep stuff, man. It really is. And the Avengers, as we know them to be, right? They think they can save everybody. And this is a situation where that's not possible. Tony, in a moment where we didn't think that, in a moment in Endgame where we thought that everybody was cooked, Tony snapped his fingers and brought everyone back. That's not going to happen in this movie. It's not going to happen. There's no situation where someone's going to snap their fingers and everyone's back. If you're gone, you're gone, dude. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Now, let's get to Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Okay. Now, another rumor came out, and they said that, or not a rumor, but another statement, and said that Avengers Doomsday is going to be what Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness was supposed to be. Okay. Now we're going to break all that down and talk about this. I know a lot of you guys have questions about that. And by the way, before I even get into this soliloquy, I think Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is a amazing movie. Obviously America Chavez is terrible, and we all know that, but I still think that movie is great and really deserves more love than what it actually gets. It gets a lot of hate. Okay. Now let's break it down. So the sentiment, right, that Avengers Doomsday will be what Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness was supposed to be, has become a massive talking point upon fans. And so let's break it down. So let's talk about scaling the Multiverse of Madness. Okay, so The Multiverse of Madness was criticized for only featuring a few brief alternate realities and the Illuminati. Avengers Doomsday is reportedly delivering on that promise of a truly sprawling multiversal conflict involving multiple characters. The biggest thing coming from this is the X-Men integration, right? Unlike, the single Professor X cameo in Doctor Strange, Doomsday is expected to feature a full-scale clash between the Avengers and the Fox X-Men. Okay. Now, incursions are also a major plot point, right? So the incursions were originally introduced in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and they are now going to be a central driving force for Doomsday rather than just a post-credits tease that we saw with Clea and Doctor Strange. Also, we got to talk about Doctor Strange's pivotal role, but he's going to have a darker role. Look, Doomsday is going to really address the fallout from Doctor Strange's actions in the Multiverse of Madness that the standalone film only hinted at. And the recent rumors do suggest that Doctor Strange may serve as a wizard sidekick to RDJ's Doctor Doom, mirroring his role as Doom's right-hand man in the 2015 Secret Wars comics. If you haven't bought it yet, buy the Secret Wars comic on Amazon. It's really fire. I think it's like $30 on Amazon. Or go to your local comic store as well. Now, even the Third Eye situation, right? The film is expected to even explore the darker path Strange has taken since using the Darkhold in Multiverse of Madness, positioning him as a potential compromised hero or even a traitor to the Avengers. Now, the third thing, which is probably the most important, a focus on narrative clues over cameos. Because while the Multiverse of Madness was often seen as a delivery vehicle for surprises, the Russo Bros have emphasized that Doomsday's multiversal elements are clues rather than just trailers for fan service. And they are using the alternate worlds to build a cohesive narrative that leads directly into Avengers sequels. And that's the difference with cameos. You can have all the cameos you want, but they have to have a narrative purpose. And that's where I think, the MCU has been trying to figure all that out, because they are one of the first people to ever do this to the scale. We saw like a taste of it when we saw the Crisis on Infinite Earths with the CW, which I think they used that well. So, okay. And then the fourth thing is rewriting the multiverse saga. So, look, the pivot from Kang the Conqueror to Doctor Doom has allowed Marvel to refine the multiverse concept. And insiders note that Doomsday feels more like a direct sequel to the stakes established in Avengers Endgame, using the multiverse to create a new beginning rather than just a chaotic time travel war. And I think connecting Doomsday to Endgame is the smartest way to do this. And Endgame is going to be back in theaters, I think, in like November or something. And that movie's gonna make so much freaking money in theaters. Wouldn't it be crazy if Avengers Endgame made $100 million? That would be crazy. If they just re-release. Okay, so I say all of this, that's what Multiverse of Madness was supposed to be. And while I still think the movie is amazing, they dropped the ball on a lot of those things. So I'm expecting to see a lot of refined stuff with Avengers Doomsday. So yeah, this movie is gonna be everything Multiverse of Madness was supposed to be, and even more. And honestly, if they made the decision that RDJ Doctor Doom was going to be Doctor Doom like that early, it would have been fire if Doctor Doom was in the Multiverse of Madness. And even then, I still wish that they even involved Kang the Conqueror in the Multiverse of Madness. Because here's how I would have went and done it, right? If I was writing for Marvel, for the MCU, I would have made Jonathan Majors Kang the Iron Lad of that Illuminati universe. So then we would have a variant of Kang already involved. You know what I'm saying? That's what I would have did. I recently viewed Deadpool and Wolverine, and I noticed a scene where Paradox says that Deadpool has been chosen for some glorious purpose for the higher ups. Do you think that will be important? All of that relies on what the Russos want to do. I think that's what all of that relies on. And honestly, you could go two ways with that comment, right? You can either make it super generalized and say Deadpool joining the Avengers is his higher calling, because in Deadpool and Wolverine, he wanted to join the Avengers with Happy Hogan. He met with Happy Hogan to join the Avengers, but it didn't happen, right? So that could be one. That could be an easy generalized statement saying that, or you make it even more important to where he's involved in the killing of Doctor Doom, which I don't think is going to happen in a million years. So I will go the latter and say the generalized him joining the Avengers and being an Avenger for that moment I think that's going to be the big hurrah for him having a higher calling, living in the moment type of situation. So yeah. Now let's get into some more Avengers Doomsday stuff. So, and this is something that is pretty Captain Obvious. Like, I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys already knew about this already, right? That the X-Men aren't the same as the OG X-Men in Avengers Doomsday. So, recent reports and leaks concerning Avengers Doomsday suggest that while the OG Fox X-Men with Hugh Jackman and Halle Berry are some of them are like appearing, they may not be the exact versions we remember from the 2000s films, and industry insiders indicate that they are multiversal variants from a dying timeline. So, number one, they are survivors of a collapsing world. So, unlike what is this? My bad. I was like, yo, that I'm like, yo, that is a wrong image. Anyways, they are survivors of a collapsing world. So, unlike the heroes who successfully saved the day in days of future past, the X-Men and Doomsday reportedly come from a reality undergoing a catastrophic incursion, and this makes them more desperate and aggressive. Rumors suggest that they blame the main MCU 616 Avengers for the destruction of their home, leading to the rumored Avengers versus X-Men conflict. Very, very interesting. Also, a hardened hero persona. While they are the same actors, their characterizations are expected to be different. Magneto, he's rumored to be the primary leader of this variant group, potentially mirroring his role in the Ultimatum or House of M storylines, where he takes extreme measures to ensure mutant survival. Even Wolverine, so Hugh Jackman's Logan is reportedly not to be the one from Logan or the Wolverine from Deadpool and Wolverine, but a version that has already failed his world once. Also, the anchor being concept, following the logic established in Deadpool and Wolverine, these X-Men might be tied to a world where their anchor being has died or has been corrupted by Doctor Doom, and this justifies why they look the same but act with a darker moral compass, as they are essentially refugees fighting for the right to exist in the 616. And also, the Russo Bros are known for grounding superhero characters, etc. So let's talk about this. Number one, I'm happy that they're not the OG X-Men. The suits were trash. I never liked the black suits. For some reason, back in the day, they hated those superhero suits, and maybe it was meant for the time to do that. Some of the characterizations in the early Fox X-Men were also off. So I'm happy that like the Russos are actually giving us a accurate X-Men where they're actually cool and they're not, whack. Like I don't want to see Scott Summers in his bag over Jean Grey 24/7. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to see Wolverine stuck on stupid for Jean Grey. So I'm happy that we're getting more comic accurate like X-Men, more comic accurate suits, and they're actually taking the X-Men serious, to fit in this superhero world. And look, it all makes sense for their moral compass to be together because, as I said, I believe they are really destroying Earths. And Ian McKellen said he destroys New Jersey, and I believe it because I think they are destroying worlds. And Magneto could easily destroy a world because he's not the master of just magnets; he's the master of magnetism, which means he can move like tectonic plates and all that stuff. So, very, very interesting stuff. And I love everything about this year. Let's see. Aren't they going to be the Fox X-Men universe X-Men? To an extent, but not the OG Fox X-Men. I think they are. I think some of them could have multiple roles. I mean, I think Wolverine is playing two. I think Wolverine will play two versions of himself in this. I think that could totally happen, where Wolverine plays two versions. All right. Let's get to the next topic here. Dr. Doom having his own coven of witches. Okay. And wizards. Sorry. You gotta show love to both. Okay, so now let's talk about this coven rumor. So this is a leak originating from industry insiders, and they're talking about that Dr. Doom has assembled a group of magic users to serve his interest. And the purpose of it is Doom reportedly requires immense magical power to facilitate the merging of timelines and the eventual creation of Battleworld. Now, if we're looking at it from a mystical side, right, the detail really talks about that RDJ's version of Dr. Doom will not just be tech-based like Iron Man, but he is a master of sorcery. And, while specific members are unconfirmed, some theories do talk about that the Coven could include characters with supernatural powers, such as variants or magic users or individuals with astral abilities. I think the HM1 is going to be one of those people. I think Mordo is going to be one of those people. I can see Scarlet, a variant of Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow being one of those people. I can see Evan Tiller, whatever. Whoever played Quicksilver in the Fox X-Men, I can see him being one of those people. I can see Wanda Maximoff. Well, no, I think if they're going to do Wanda Maximoff, she's going to be who she is. But yeah, I can see a situation where he has like multiple variants of characters that we know of what they look like, but they're magic users from his planet or from multiple planets, from multiple dying planets. He's just taking a bunch of magic users and just recruit them. That would also be freaking awesome too. So yeah, and there's also other alliances. So beyond even the Coven, Doom is rumored to lead several other dark groups. So a rumored villain team may include like variants like Captain Hydra, Maestro Hawk, King Thanos, and Doom will apparently have multiple mass followers, though it's kind of unclear if they're variants of himself or loyal disciples. And as we know, Doctor Strange is probably gonna be the sheriff of all this. You know what I mean? So I think this is awesome, and I think Doctor Doom is going to have a lot of pockets that he is going to be able to dig into. I think Doctor Doom himself is going to take a lot of the brunt work of fighting and of being like the most powerful character ever, but I do think he's going to have a team. I could see this Fox X-Men timeline that keeps some of the old movies canon. Interesting. Wasn't evil Captain America rumored? It was. Doom is starting to sound epic. He is starting to sound epic, bro. I don't think people understand how crazy this is going to be. I don't think anyone's going to see how crazy it's going to be until we get an actual reveal. There was this merch thing that dropped last week, and they dropped a bunch of, and it was Doctor Doom's face on the merch, and he legit looked terrifying. He honestly looked freaking terrifying. Do you think that Loki has some king of omnipresence observing everything? I think he is seeing everything. But here's the thing. This is the thing about Loki. Loki is only seeing things in the MCU timeline, though. Because remember, Loki, and I might have to Google this, but I'm pretty sure Loki he has multiple strands of one Earth. You know what I mean? So Loki has multiple strands of the MCU timeline. He's not holding the whole entire multiverse together. He's just holding the strands that were separated from the sacred timeline, not all of the other Earths. So that's that. And that's something that we got to take into consideration. Because one thing that we got to understand here when it comes to the MCU multiverse, right, is that there's a difference between a timeline and a Earth. Okay, so let me just break this down. A timeline occurs within a world. Okay, so within one Earth, right, there's multiple timelines. And basically what the TVA was doing, whenever a timeline would go off, they would kill it. So then there's one sacred timeline, but that's only for our MCU Earth. That's not counting the Days of Future Past Earth with the Fox X-Men. That doesn't count for the Fox Fantastic Four. It doesn't even count for our MCU Fantastic Four. They could have multiple time strands too. You know what I mean? But the TVA was only for our timeline. It wasn't accounting for all of the other worlds. So technically, you could make the case that the sacred timeline was maybe one of the only things that was keeping the multiverse from collapsing, because they were pruning multiple timelines, but all the other Earths were kind of having incursions. But is the other timeline? Let me see. Calling it right now, this Fox X-Men timeline will be the same Fox X-Men post Secret Wars, except with the comic accurate suits, and Logan is not canon. They probably will, but they're probably not going to be like the same. Like, you know what I mean, like it's different costumes. So, isn't he like holding up the whole entire multiverse? No, he's only holding up the MCU timeline. But is the other timeline its own universe? But is the other timeline in its own universe existing separately? Okay, so if you're talking about the MCU timeline, right? The MCU timeline has multiple shrinks right now, right? And so a multiple string is Steve going to have a child. That's a strand. You know what I mean? A multiple timeline is, let's say Steve didn't put back a stone in 1970. That's a strand. You know what I mean? So they will all be branching off of each other, you know, and then we're going to see where things mix together. We're not that doesn't also count that there is still like what Doctor Strange did in Spider-Man Far From No Way Home. That probably created a bunch of strands that the TVA probably did not solve. The multiverse of madness. Think about this, bro. Wanda dreamwalked to Earth 838 or whatever, 838 I think it is, and killed all of the Illuminati, all of the leaders of their societies. You know what I'm saying? That could have created a strand. You know what I mean? Who knows? Doctor Strange in that planet could have created a strand. You know what I mean? So yeah. Loki is only holding together the MCU. We might see a situation where there's multiple. Whoa, be crazy. What if there's multiple Lokis holding together all of the Earths? That'd be crazy, bro. Or if there's multiple characters, because technically now Loki is a entity. He's not just Loki no more. He's like a eternity. He's like a one before all or whatever his name is. But like, what if like there's a situation like, think about this, bro. What if when a incursion happens, we see Loki, who is holding all of the timelines together. We see him he's the one that's colliding with someone else that is holding all of the timelines together. And what if that person he looks at is Doctor Doom, and Doctor Doom kills him and just lets all the strands go? So what if Doctor Doom's goal isn't necessarily to take out the Avengers, but his goal is to become basically one of the beings that is holding all of the timelines together, so that he could just clash with everyone else that is holding the timelines together and kill them. And once he kills Loki, quote unquote, the multiverse is gone because he lets go of all the strands. And multiple strands will mean multiple incursions. So Doctor Doom might be pushing for a even stronger situation that we haven't even given thought to. Hot take, but Pedro Pascal Reed is not good enough to carry an Avenger movie as a lead because, one, he's not an Avenger, and two, like I said, his Reed is not that great. I disagree, man. I disagree, and it's hard to make that take off of one movie, bro. Doomsday will give us that answer. Doomsday will for sure give us that answer. But that's an interesting take. Loki got to die in Secret Wars. It's sad. They better get my boy Gustin off. He might die in Doomsday, bro. He might die in Doomsday. And my theory might be true. I'm you know what? I'm gonna make a video on that as well. Let me just add that to my and guys, look, I do deep dives on lore all week long. So check out the Loreverse channel. Let me see. Because I mean, that would be very Doom-like, right? The Avengers think he's just trying to take them out, but what he's trying to do is become one of the multiverse holders. You know what I mean? Like what Loki is. And it would be dope if there are figures like Loki holding every world together right now. And what if like the same situation that Loki had, that same situation happened on multiple Earths? So when Yggdrasil clears, like let's just think about this. We see that there's a Yggdrasil tree, and there's a barrier between the TVA and Loki's Yggdrasil tree. What if he could see through that tree, there's other people in chairs holding the multiverse together? That would be crazy. That's a crazy theory. And I don't think anyone's really come up with that. That's a crazy theory. What if so just to put this into real logic, what if there are multiple beings holding the multiverse together? That's the better way to say it. What if there's multiple beings holding it together? Also, another hot take, but Marvel needs to reboot the Fantastic Four again. What? Bro, that's crazy. True at the end or something. Yeah. Not gonna lie, if Loki dies, it will be fire because I feel like Marvel bringing Loki back because of time travel was so trashed. What? I thought the Loki show was awesome. After like the Kang story with Loki, I think it's chef's work, bro. Other multiversal gods would be the Council of Kings. No, I don't know. Because technically Loki's story closes the Kang door, but it could open whenever you want. But they will probably do, bro, multiple Lokis. That's what I think we'll do. Also, I forgot to give my T'Challa Moon Knight idea. Yeah, let me hear your T'Challa Moon Knight take, and then after that, we'll get some Chronicles of Narnia, and I will cry to you for about 10 minutes and complain why I'm afraid of this movie. But let me hear your and this is why I like and this is why I love you guys, because I love to dig deep into the multiversal lore of the MCU, because I think the multiversal lore of the MCU is one of the most interesting things that they have ever built. And they didn't expound enough on it because they made so many bad just mistakes. But the multiversal like situation is kind of insane. It's kind of insane. And what about this? Okay. Let's cook even further. What if Loki, right, sees a situation where he's holding all the training toms together, and he sees like a freaking version of Reed. Like, what if it's the Fox Reed Ian Gruffin as the maker or something? Or what if it's Ian Gruffin holding all of the timelines together? Like, what if each character? But what if like a different character from each universe went down the same path that Loki went on? And what if they're the actual anchor beings? Like, what if they change the meaning of an anchor being to being whoever is holding the timelines together? And then what if? Oh my gosh, think about this. What if, right? What if like Toby doesn't get killed by the X-Men, and there's a rumor that Toby is working with the TVA. What if the TVA is actually taking people to put them in the same position that Loki's in for their timeline? So what if they're taking the anchor of their Earth and saying, we need you to hold all of these timelines together? And so then Toby is doing what, so Toby Spider-Man is doing what Loki is doing. And then Ian Gruffin's Reed is doing what Loki is doing. And they're all doing it together, and Doctor Doom just takes them all out. True. In the Ultimate 616 universe, T'Challa fights Khonshu and Ra. So imagine post-Secret War T'Challa faces Khonshu and Ra, but with the addition of the traditional Moon Knight Inspector keeping with him. That would be crazy, bro. That would be crazy. But I think they need to go greater with a Black Panther. You got to go intergalactic mode, bro. I think you got to take them to space. Council of Loki sounded, yeah, something like that. So yeah, that's an interesting theory that I'm going to dive deep on, and we're going to talk about it more. I'm probably going to live stream Thursday afternoon because one of my students in youth group has a play. So we'll probably dig deeper into this Thursday afternoon. And if you don't catch a live, at least watch it back, and I'll dive deeper into this multiverse idea. Okay, now let's get to the last topic of the night. We're going to talk about Miss Greta Gerwig and Narnia. Narnia is stressing me the heck out, y'all. I don't know what to do with this freaking movie. Let's talk about it. So let's talk about all the rumors. Narnia wrapped filming yesterday. Let's talk about all the rumors here. So rumor number one, Meryl Streep. She is in talks to play Aslan. Yes. Nothing's confirmed. The White Witch. Well, some of it's confirmed. Emma Mackey is confirmed to play the White Witch. Great casting. W casting. Daniel Craig is set to play Uncle Andrew. Great casting. Okay. He's set to play Magician from the first book. We know that Saoirse Ronan has addressed rumors of her involvement, stating that while she hasn't been officially asked yet, she's highly interested. The confirmed supporting cast, we have Carey Mulligan is playing Mabel Kirk. Denise Go is played by David McKenna. I'm so sorry, I am messing this up. Okay, let me just take all this out. This is like, the way this is written is like confusing me. Give me a second. Okay, here we go. My bad, y'all. Okay, so Carey Mulligan is played by Carey Mulligan is playing Mabel Kirk. Denise Go and David McKenna, they are playing Diggory Kirk. What is happening? Sorry, y'all. My document is going crazy. My docket is like going nuts right now. 1 second, y'all. We'll just skip this part and then I'll get to the stuff. Okay, let's talk about the plot here. So the film is adapting The Magician's Nephew, #1, and this is the prequel that really details the creation of Narnia and the origins of the wardrobe. Okay, so we're going to basically see when Aslan sings this thing into existence. Now, here's the issue, or a possible issue. There's a 1950s time jump. So the set photo strongly suggests that Gerwig has moved the Earth-based scene from like the 1900 setting to the 1950s, possibly to align with when C.S. Lewis published the books, actually. And then there's this rock and roll vision. So Amy Pascal described another issue, the adaptation, that this is a very new take that is all about rock and roll, implying that there's a more modern and energetic stylistic approach rather than the previous versions. And there is going to be a theatrical push. Greta Gerwig fought hard for that, so that's happening. So yeah, you know what I mean? And there's actors like Daniel Craig and Emma Mackey and all that stuff in there. So this is suspect. They've been so quiet, and that's what scares me. You are never this quiet unless if you have heat. I mean, like there is no way that you are this quiet. And let me just say this. If Aslan is played by a woman, the movie's cooked. The movie's cooked. And I said this in my Loreverse video the other day. C.S. Lewis is so overwhelmingly Christian that like it's hard to that this individualistic vibe that it seems like Greta Gerwig is going for is so anti-Narnia. And it's like, why would you take a precious lore and build your own new take on that? And this is a problem that I've said a lot of times, that a lot of directors are so cocky and so prideful that they make their own versions of movies with characters. And and so let's just say this: Greta Gerwig is possibly a lore killer. Now, who are the previous lore killers that we know? Lore killer #1, Christopher Nolan, probably the biggest lore killer of all. Okay. Second biggest lore. And that's why a movie like The Odyssey with him scares me, because I just don't know what he's going to do there. Because he kills lore, and with The Odyssey, you can't really kill the lore there. Second lore killer is Zack Snyder, probably the most craziest offense. Superman murdering Zod is just like crazy. So if Greta Gerwig fumbles this, she is probably going to take the #1 spot. Meryl Streep Aslan is #1 lore killer. So I'm scared. I'm honestly scared. No, exactly. My poor baby Aslan, please, no musical. Yeah, I don't think they're going to do a musical. They have to keep the spiritual. I agree, and the spiritual threats matter. And the fact that they're going with The Magician's Nephew, one of my favorite aspects of Narnia is the wood between the worlds. And so I hope that she keeps to that and makes that make sense, and that she can explain it, because there's a rich lore to that as well. So yeah, man, Narnia is scaring me. And how do you wrap filming and we haven't seen anything except one set photo of 2 kids? No teaser, nothing. So I'm really afraid of that. But yeah, bro, that's where we're gonna end today, y'all. I hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight, man. I had fun sitting here talking with you guys for an hour and 23 minutes. I could really go like another hour if I wanted. But look, man, I hope you guys enjoyed this talking. If you see my daughter there, she's knocked out over the other side. Hey, baby. She's asleep. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this show, man. You'll see some clips going out all day, every day. So hope you guys like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Stay crispy and peace out. And let me read this last comment. Just found you today, and it was very good. Thanks for bro. Thank you. I hope that you sub, and I hope that you hop on the next stream, bro. And we have 2 great co-hosts, Carter and Dallas. They are so funny and they're so fun to be with. So check out some of our old content, or check out some of the content that we did last week too. So look, I hope you guys have fun, because I have fun. Well, I think I lied a little bit. Sorry. I hope you guys have fun, because I have fun talking to you guys. And please like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. And peace out, family. See y'all later.